With roughly 8 games left in the regular season, SGA sits at minus 350 to win MVP. Wemby is close to plus 250, and Luka is stuck at plus 1500. Despite putting up historic like scoring numbers, right? Draymond Green said publicly that Wemby would need a 70-point game or a quadruple double to steal it from SGA at this point. Matthew, is SGA the right choice, or is a voter sleeping on what Wemby is doing on both ends? I know we talked about this earlier, but touch a little bit more on it and more in detail.
They are sleeping on Wemby. They are
Okay.
asleep. I mean, I feel like people have already like punched their ballot. I feel like people already got it filled out for SGA. So it does feel like an uphill battle for Wemby. And you watch SGA, he passes the eyeball test. He's incredible. He passes the clutch test. He's hit so many game winners. But it's hard because if he doesn't make the shot, he's going to draw the foul. And, although they started to call him for that push off. I don't know if you've been seeing that.
Yeah. Hey, he was the other day. He was like, "What? I can't believe it!" Like it's almost like I've been doing this. Now you want to call it?
So if they're gonna ref him like that, then things could get interesting because
It's too late now.
You can't underestimate how much that's a part of his bag. Now he's a great player. He can shoot the three. He can get to the cup. He can play make. He can do whatever. So I'm not saying he can't do everything. But that's a huge part of his game getting to the free throw line. And if the refs all of a sudden are calling that push off, or maybe they're holding the whistle on some of his flops, like even 10% to 20% more than they are now, I mean, that's a huge difference because
Matthew, I will say this. I'm gonna let you continue. Bro, do you know how many point guards and shooting guards I see pushing off these days? Like it's almost happened religiously how often it happens.
No, it's happening, but I mean, he's kind of at the forefront of that movement, and he's bigger than most point guards. He's a tall ass guy. I mean, he's probably like 6'6" or 6'7", and so
Let me
him
see how tall he is.
pushing off to create range makes more of a difference than Fred Van Vliet or someone of some like regular size point guard pushing off you.
6'6", 6'5", 6'6",
I mean,
195 pounds.
he gets significant separation on some of those push-offs. And then he's pushing off. Then when you try to recover, he moves his airspace into you or you foul him. So it's almost become impossible to stop because, I mean, you look at the numbers. We're talking about what DeMar's shooting from two. SGA shooting 60% from two on 15 two-point shots a game. Now, a lot more of that's at the rim than DeMar, but 60% is crazy. But I think that's a little bit inflated because of how often he gets to the line. But 60% from two, holy shit. I mean, that's got to be, I guess that's not some record because of big men. You think there's big men there that are just slam dunking it every time. But to be a guard shooting 60% from two, but like I say, well, what would that be if he didn't get all the calls? Maybe that'd be 56, 57. Still impressive. But Wemby, I just watched him again last night. I have not seen a Spurs game in weeks where they didn't just completely put belt to ass on the team they played. I have not seen the Spurs. I can't remember the last time I saw the Spurs play a close game. Okay, I'm lying. It was Phoenix. It was at 101 to 100 game in Phoenix. But besides that game, I cannot remember the last time I saw the Spurs play a close game. And it all starts with Wemby, the leader who legitimately is making everybody on the team better. Like, because he plays with a seriousness and a dedication to his craft that I think is contagious and is lifting up everyone around him. And look, if you're a voter, I would just say this: give it to SGA at your own peril, because we're all going to see what happens in May. And if Wemby, if some finds a way to get past SGA, and you, the voter, already gave it to SGA, as your MVP choice, as we know that the MVP voting happens before the playoffs. I think it's I think it'll be interesting because I think we'll have a record of who valued what, and depending on who comes out on top when they meet in the playoffs. And I feel very confident that those two teams aren't getting knocked off. So we're going to have a record of what happened. And so just vote for SGA.
Matthew, I'll say this. Here's what makes this race genuinely hard, right? If you isolate any single skill, right? So Luka scores the most. Wemby defends the best. SGA is the most efficient on both ends. but the award has become a referendum to a team record, and OKC at 60 plus wins is just hard to argue against. So the number that keeps coming up in voter circles is SGA's net rating. So the Thunder are like plus 12 with him on the floor and basically a lottery team when he sits. So that's the same argument that wins MVPs. And right now, nobody's making a counter argument strong enough to really flip it.
I mean, we could talk about SGA's wins and rating, but I'd like to see Wemby's rating because I think that's a whole different team, especially defensively when he's off the court. I'm pretty sure it's a similar level of impact on the rating. But
you touched on it earlier. Remember earlier in our conversation, you talked about it seemed like it always goes to the team that has the number one lead and the most wins.
Hey,
you talked on that earlier.
Spurs are right behind them.
Yeah.
So if OKC's got 60 wins, the Spurs got 58. So there's still 7 games to go in the regular season. Spurs are about to play in 30 minutes. I mean, this is still anybody's race in the West. OKC's only 2 games ahead. So are you telling me that if OKC loses 3 and the Spurs win the next 3 and the Spurs are on top, that makes Wemby the MVP?
Yeah. And that's the way they doing it. So he would pass them up and get it then.
It's coming down to the wire. But if you give the Spurs, if they find a way to get the 1 seed and have home court advantage, I'd be very scared if I was the Thunder. I'm not saying it's over. I'm just saying I'd be very scared because the Spurs went 4-1 against the Thunder in the regular season. I was trying to explain this to somebody. The Thunder only have 16 losses. 4 of those came to the Spurs, and 3 of those were total belt to ass, not even close. So if Wemby and them boys find a way in these next 7 games to get that 1 seed and get home court advantage, then I would be very afraid if I was SGA and them boys.
All right, as the famous words of boxers, they say, yeah, you might have got the best of me in sparring, but when it comes to the real fight, it's totally different.
And let's see what happens. And let's see who's bringing home court advantage to that real fight. That's why these next 6 games, what's going to be interesting is the Spurs and Thunder are so far ahead of everybody, but they're not going to be able to rest their starters if they're trying to finish with the 1 seed. So I think they're going to have to play their guys until the very last regular season game, if not maybe the second to last regular season game. So it's going to be interesting to see how that race for the 1 seed comes